Welcome everybody to Mom Street USA. My name is Jackie, aka Wishes Mama, and joining me is my wonderful co-host Kate, aka the Disney Cicerone. And together we are Mom Street USA, and you have found our podcast that is going to be all about holidays at Walt Disney World. So the topic for today is Halloween versus Christmas, and how do I decide which one is better for my group when we're traveling down to the parks? So Kate, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited for spooky season that's coming up so soon, and so I'm all decked out in my spooky gear. And of course, Christmas is your favorite, yes, I think, of all the things. And
it is.
Was it our good friend Kirk from Walrus Carb asked if we were going to debate ourselves which one and fight and duke it out over which holiday is better, and that's not really what we do here. But We'll let you guys decide which one is best for you, yes, in the process of comparing the two.
Yes, and I will say Christmas is ultimately my favorite holiday, but I do really like Halloween and spooky season. My family and my kids especially just really love like Halloween and that fall time when we get to go to the pumpkin patches and all that kind of stuff. But like for me, my joy is like within a week after Halloween putting my Christmas tree up. So
I love it. Commitment.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes. My birthday's right after Halloween. So that's always my birthday present to myself is getting to put up my Christmas tree. And my husband's always like, yep, okay, it's your birthday. I'll dig it out of the basement for you. And I'm like, thank you.
That's so sweet. I love that.
He knows. He knows. After 10 years, he's like, yep, this is what we do. There's no fighting it.
So good. I love it.
Yes. So the overall goal is to give you guys kind of a side-by-side comparison of the Halloween event, which is Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and the Christmas event, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which are both kind of a mouthful. So you may hear us kind of abbreviate those as we go throughout the episode. But the goal is to give you a side-by-side comparison of the two. So that way, if you are trying to debate between Halloween, Christmas, which time is better, which event is better, should I do one, the other, neither, both, all of those things we're hoping to give you information on to help you make that decision.
Yeah, and it is something we should probably note that we're not including Jollywood nights in this particular episode just because we're trying to do the two events that are mostly family friendly. Not that kids can't go to Jollywood, but we're mostly trying to aim it towards families in all ages at this point. And I feel like these two events are the ones that are most kid-friendly, so to speak.
Yes, I agree. I mean, my kids did attend Jollywood last year. It is a little bit geared towards more of an older crowd, adults, older teens kind of with that. But yes, so the goal is to give you guys kind of a direct comparison between the two.
Yeah, and we're also not doing Boogie Boogie for Disneyland just for sake of time. Not that we don't love our Disneyland friends and events, and it's already sold out, so
right at this point we're already we're in July, but at this point it's kind of null and void at this point. So
right. Yes. So where should we start? It looks like maybe dates and pricing comparison between the two.
I think that's probably the best place to give you kind of an overall. So again, this is kind of just a straight comparison, and we will give our 2 cents as we kind of go. Kate and I have both attended these events, so we have some kind of firsthand experience. But if you are looking at the Halloween party, which is the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, well, before I get into that, I guess we should mention that these are all extra ticketed events. Both of the events that we're talking about tonight have an extra ticket outside of your standard park ticket for the day.
Right.
So this is an extra cost if you are going to do it. A lot of people will have like a pool day or a pool morning and then go to the party in the evening because it can be somewhat of a later night. But people can decide what's in their budget and what makes sense for how many days and your trip and things like that. But these are all a separate ticketed event that you would have to buy that extra ticket for.
So, well, and we should probably mention, I don't know if you put it in later, but you can get in earlier than the party start time, usually with these events. Is it what, 4? I'm trying to remember exactly.
4 p.m. Yep.
4 p.m.
So both of the parties run from 7 p.m. to midnight. But your party ticket alone will get you in starting at 4 p.m. So you do have a little bit of extra time before the party kind of officially starts that you can enter. But it is only good for that 4 p.m. or after.
Right. Okay, so
Yes.
let's talk tickets.
Okay.
How expensive are they?
Oh, goodness. Well, this is a really interesting comparison, I think. And this is one of the biggest factors that I would think would play into someone when they're considering which party to go to, because there is actually a significant difference in ticket prices for these. So for the Halloween Not So Scary event, there are 38 dates. This runs August 9th through October 31st this year.
Dates.
Yeah, 38 dates. And they kind of vary. I mean, I listed them here, but it's everywhere from, August has just a few, the 9th, 13th, 16th, 20th, 23rd, 27th, and 30th. September is like 3 to 4 a week, basically, for the entire month. And once you hit October, it's like 4 or 5 days a week, pretty much all the way through. At the time that I pulled these, only Halloween, October 31st, was sold out at the moment. That can change day to day because these tickets are already available and on sale on the Disney website. So 38 dates, and tickets range anywhere from $119 per ticket up to $199 per ticket. And that is all date dependent. So the closer you get to Halloween, you're going to be looking more at that $199 price. And that $119 lower end is going to be kind of sporadically through some of the earlier dates. So it's really kind of a hard, there's no set date, right? Or set price per date. So like we can't say like, yep, in August it's going to be $119, in September it's going to be $139. Like it just doesn't work that way.
Convenient.
It would be for planning purposes, yes. And I will mention that kids, it works the same way in as like the main tickets do, that kids that are 9 and under have a little bit of a discount, but I think it's only like $10 difference.
It's not very much.
Yeah, but there's a tiny bit of a discount there. So, and again, with this, kids under 3 don't need a ticket for the party. So just like your standard tickets for the parks, this is the same process. So that is, again, $119 through $199, depending on the date. Now, the Christmas event, which is your Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Again, same things that we've already talked about apply as far as entry and how the tickets work, and it's an extra ticketed event and all that kind of stuff is the same. But there are only 25 dates for the Christmas, which I thought was very fitting with it being 25 and, Christmas being on the 25th. I don't think that's purposeful. I think that's just the way the calendar fell this year. So they start on November 8th. And they go through December 20th. So do note that the Christmas dates don't actually go through the week of Christmas because the parks are just way too crazy and they can't handle having closed, parks closing earlier for parties and extra ticketed events and things. It's just too much for them to handle during that time frame.
That usually during that week of Christmas, they take the Christmas parade and do it in the parks during the day, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the fireworks too, that we'll talk about those kind of things here in a little bit. But yes, some of the offerings you do get during the park, just standard park operating hours during that week as well.
Right. So if you want to brave the crowds, which I don't know if we recommend, but you could get some of the offerings from the Christmas party during the regular operating hours that Christmas week.
Yes, very true. So the ticket prices for Christmas start at $169 per person and go up through $219 per person. So there is kind of a significant jump in range for those Christmas tickets, which I thought was really interesting when I was looking at that straight comparison to see the difference. So again, Halloween is $119 through $199 and Christmas is $169 through $219. So when you're comparing, you'll find that as we kind of go through, there are a lot of similarities between the two events. So it really is going to come down to, in my opinion, theming and the characters and the events and things like that, but also really cost, because that is a significant difference. If you're looking at taking a family of 4 or 5, that's a lot of extra money, first of all, if you're already paying to go to the parks, but then it's also more to do the Christmas party versus the Halloween party.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of why that is. And I really am not, I can only think of maybe like the cookies and the drinks cost more or something, like trying to figure out why, because they have a lot of like the same offerings, just different theming.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
that's honestly the main difference. I mean, that's what, Trip over here in our live chat said, candy versus cookies. Like, that's really the one of the major differences, right? And we'll talk about kind of what's included, but that's the only thing I can think of too, is that the overhead cost for Disney to put on these parties with the cookies and the offerings for Christmas must be higher than it is for the Halloween parties.
Yeah, that's all I can think too. All right, well, let's dig into some of the comparisons then. And it looks like we've got characters up first. So if we want to talk about some of the characters that we have, shall I talk about the ones for Halloween here?
Sure,
a little
sounds
bit?
Good.
All right, so they're the special characters for Halloween from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. There are some new ones for 2024, which is Bruno, and some more villains as well, which is great because Disneyland, I feel like, has always gotten a lot of the villains and like not as many, which is always so funny to me. So we don't talk about Bruno, but he will be there. And then also the Seven Dwarfs, which I feel like is such a hugely popular one that always has a massive line for it.
Yes.
So get there early if you want to get in line for that one.
Yeah, and that kind of goes for any of these characters, right? And we've talked about that. We should mention we've done full episodes on these parties and kind of detailing everything they have to offer. So we're not going to do kind of a nitty-gritty details with some of these. We're more just looking at an overall comparison. But yes, we always recommend with these character meet and greets that you prioritize. If there's a certain character you really want to meet, prioritize them first and get in line early.
Yes, absolutely. Jack and Sally, of course, from Nightmare Before Christmas. That's always a really popular one. Pooh and friends in their Halloween costumes. The Fab Five in their costumes, which you do have a picture, I think, of this one. And I love your face.
Picture. It's such a mom face, right? Because I'm like interacting with my kiddos as they're interacting with Mickey. Well, so I have to tell the story, right? So in that photo, you can see he's like doing the muscles because we did like a whole superhero family costume. So he was talking about like Mickey was pantomiming the superhero muscles to my kids, which I thought was super cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
I love that. And then also they have the Aladdin characters, Genie, Abu, Jasmine, and Aladdin as well. And it looks like, is this one from the Christmas or this is from Halloween? You look like there's some other characters.
Yep, that's from Halloween. Yep. So that's from the parade. So they've got tons of characters in the parade as well that are kind of specialty things that we'll talk about here in a moment. But I think most people at the Halloween party, right, it's the Seven Dwarves and it's Jack and Sally. Like Jack and Sally are one of the big draws for that one. And I can't remember if I put my photo of them in the drive.
Here it is. Jack and Sally.
Yes. So that one's a really, really cool meet and greet. Just to be able to interact with both of them is really cool. And the way that they do it. So they meet inside of town hall, right? Is what it's town. Yeah. Where Mickey is normally during the day. So they do the whole other side of that building,
Town Square.
That's what I was like. Town hall didn't sound right to me when I said it, but you'll know where I'm talking about. But the side where the old Tinkerbell meet and greet used to be, they have it all decked out for Jack and Sally. But yeah, it was a really, really cool, very, very cool meet and greet to do.
Yeah, it's really fun. And they do have that just in like Disneyland. Not to talk about Disneyland a lot, but they do have those characters meet in Disneyland during all of spooky season. And it's always a really long line. So
yeah, they're definitely super, super popular characters. So let's talk characters for Christmas. You will find that this list is very similar to the one that Kate just read. So for Very Merry, the Seven Dwarfs also meet completely all together. So like Kate mentioned, that's a really, really, really popular one too, because you get all seven of them in one photo, which is really fun. They have them all staged and, it's good. It's a good time. They have Jack and Sally, but Jack is dressed as Sandy Claus. So you will get to meet him in his Sandy Claus outfit along with Sally. Pooh and friends in their holiday scarves. So again, the thing about these party meet and greets is like a lot of it is like groups of characters, right? So you get more than just one at a time. So you get all of the Pooh and friend characters that we have available to us in the parks all at one time. And then Fab Five in costumes again, the Aladdin characters again, Genie, Abu, Jasmine, and Aladdin. A couple different ones from what Kate mentioned for Halloween. You get a lot of princesses with their princes for Christmas. So that's not something that you necessarily see in Halloween time, but you do get a lot of the princes around for Christmas. I think really just because they're in the parade. Like, we don't always see the princes around every time, but they're around for that. You get Scrooge McDuck, which is a fun one to have around in the parks. And then there is a Santa Claus as well that you can meet at the Christmas party. So a couple different ones, but ultimately a very similar list to what Kate read for the Halloween characters as well.
Santa Claus is kind of like in that area in Liberty Square, I think, right? Like in the
this
like
year
the gazebo.
he met in the gazebo. Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't do that one. We opted to do the one at Disney Springs, which is a whole nother one. But like, there's a virtual queue for a Santa Claus at meet and greet. Oh yeah, there's me and Stitch in his Hawaiian
like poinsettia outfit. So cute.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes. So lots of fun characters, a lot of kind of the themed characters. So we just pulled the highlights. That by no means was a comprehensive list of everyone who meets at these parties. That is one of the draws to a lot of people, and why a lot of people will do these special events is because of those characters, right? Some of them, that's the only place you're going to get to see them. If you're at Disney World, the only time you get to see Jack and Sally is at these events. So different draws for different people depending on what you're looking for at the parks.
Yes. And I will say there's also, alongside the characters, there's also different photo ops as well that you can do that some of them have PhotoPass photographers, and they're really cute, make you look like you're in a postcard. So they do keep these usually up even outside of the party. So we took this just on a regular park day. So if you can't get to the party, make sure you take advantage of those little photo op areas. They might not have a PhotoPass photographer if you're just going during the day, but most of them do at night during the party.
Right. Yes. And a lot of this stuff is party exclusive, but like Kate said, some of it is available throughout the regular park days. All the decorations and things like that, they're not going to take them up and put them down for the night, So a lot of that stuff you're going to see all the time, the big Christmas tree and, pumpkins and all that kind of stuff. So you've at least got that. If you decide not to do one of these parties, you've at least got that going for you.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Should we talk about some rides that are specialty throughout these?
Absolutely.
Okay. So a couple things to note about both of these is that for both parties this year at Magic Kingdom, Tron and Tiana's Bayou Adventure are both going to be offered as standby lines. So there's no virtual queues for them this year, which I thought was interesting. So we'll see kind of what happens with the lines for those.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So last year they did the virtual queue. It was just a separate virtual queue for Tron. So it was like that 6 p.m. virtual queue that you could join if you had a park ticket, they would let you join. But yeah, this year it's a standby line. So it'll be interesting to see what those lines look like. Tiana's, I'm not really sure because like you get very, very wet on Tiana's. So people may or may not choose to do that during the party.
Costumes. Yeah.
With costumes or, dressing up for Christmas or whatever. So that'll be interesting to see. But for Halloween, for Not So Scary, there are a couple rides that have overlays. So what an overlay is basically exactly what it sounds like. On top of the pre-existing ride that is there, they will add a little bit of extra theming or different theming to it. So Space Mountain has an overlay, and that overlay, I believe, is just they turn the lights completely off.
It's just pitch black. Yeah. That's all. It's actually really scary.
That is an experience. The Teacups Mad Tea Party have some special music and lighting that they do throughout the party. So that's a really, really fun one. My kids loved that one. They thought it was so funny to listen to the extra music during that. And then Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor is a trick-or-treat location, but it also will be running kind of continuous Halloween themed jokes inside of the building also during the event.
Yeah, which is really fun.
Yeah, super fun. And then Christmas for Very Merry Christmas. Again, Tron and Tiana's are both slated to be open for standby. They have similar overlays, but a couple extra ones. So they have Space Mountain. The Space Mountain for this one has extra lights.
It's so cool.
And they play that like Trans-Siberian Orchestra Christmas music. So it's funny because that was actually during the Christmas party this last year was my kids' first ride on Space Mountain, because I knew that it would be more lit up and they were more apt to like it with the lights and the music, to be able to like, for me as mom, to like get a feel for whether or not they'd be okay with like the regular version of it. So
I loved it so much. I laughed
fun.
So hard during that because I didn't know what I was walking into the first time I went on it, because I think I missed it for other Christmas parties I'd been at. And so when I walked, I was like, this is so much fun. It's also terrifying because you can see how like all the structure is close to your head
and how close you get.
So I just laughed really hard though, because it was amazing. I was like, this is so different. So totally different ride with the lights on.
Yes, definitely worth it. Also in that similar area, Tomorrowland Speedway has a whole kind of overlay, and this is also up. Their decorations that they do are up throughout the regular park day, but you don't see it with like the lights on because the park closes for standard day guests at like 6 p.m. usually on these event nights. So they do have some extra decorations and decor kind of up along the track as you go. Again, Mad Tea Party has special lights and special Christmas music. Again, that was a family favorite for us.
I don't know why they don't just do that at night every night. Like Disneyland has lights that come on and it like is so pretty at night. I don't know why they don't do that all the time, because it's so much fun.
Yeah, and like change the lighting up, right? Because that just it changes the whole experience when you have that different lighting atmosphere as you're spinning round and round and round and round.
It's really fun. Yeah.
And then Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor again is not a trick-or-treat location at the Christmas party, obviously, but it does have those themed jokes and things like that in their show for the Christmas party. And then a fan favorite at Disney World's Magic Kingdom, which is the Jingle Cruise.
I love the Jingle Cruise.
The overlay for Jungle Cruise, and that is available during the day as well. So that is not a party exclusive. That is something that is available most of November and all of December for anyone that is visiting Magic Kingdom at any point during the day.
Yeah, they have Christmas themed jokes, and they actually do put some things in the attractions to make it Christmas themed. Not as many as they used to, but still there's a fair amount, and it's really fun to have it just be. And I love that the skippers have these like burlap hats that they wear. They're like Christmas hats.
Yes.
It's very fun.
Yes. Very, very fun. So lots of different ride options that you can have. Again, if we're comparing side by side, a lot of them are the same. Christmas gets a few more. So if you're looking at trying to decide between, basically they're the same. Christmas has 2 more, but one of them is offered throughout the day for normal day guests. So really Christmas has like 1 more, if you think about it that way.
He's trying to win our debate here.
I mean, yes, we are debating very, very hard here on Mom Street tonight.
She's like, I've got 1 more point for Christmas.
I get 1 more. Okay, 1 more. But honestly, like, okay, it's Tomorrowland Speedway, which like, it's not a fan favorite necessarily, but it
Jingle
is
Cruise. So that's 2 more technically.
Yes, but that one's available for any time, so you don't have to go to the Christmas party. See, I'm trying.
It's fair.
Yes. Okay, so another thing that we have are the shows, which I think is pretty much
a must see.
Yeah, they're the highlights for me, right? Yeah. Like they are what makes the parties, and I think this is a big factor in if you're trying to decide between the two. These shows for me would decide it.
Okay. So for Halloween, we have the Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular, which is the stage show in front of the castle, and that one I think is so spectacular. I really do love that show. And they repeat it, at least three times during the night, I think.
So it's interesting. I was looking at the schedules and it's like 2 times for the earlier dates, but the closer that they get to Halloween, it's like 3 times. They shift the schedule.
Interesting.
But that is a super fun one. Lots of villains that you don't always see. Dr. Facilier, Oogie Boogie. Obviously the Sanderson sisters are there. Maleficent. The Evil
Queen.
See if
you had a picture, but I don't see any pictures in here.
No, I had a lot of videos, but they were like full-length videos, and I was like, well, that doesn't really help us for this situation. But Yeah, so lots and lots of villains, a really, really fun stage show. Even if your like kiddos are not super familiar with Hocus Pocus, because like mine haven't seen the movie. And when we saw,
when I watched it with my kids, I was like, oh, I forgot there were some things in here that I was going to have to explain to my kids.
Yep, I did the same
no.
because we watched it the year after. So like we went 2 Halloweens ago to the Halloween party, and then like this past Halloween, I was like, we should watch Hocus Pocus. Then I was like, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
It was made in a different era.
Yes, it was. It sure was. But even if your kids are not familiar or haven't watched the movie, ton of familiar faces, really great music, just an overall really good show.
Yes. The other things that they have for Halloween in terms of shows is they have a bunch of dance parties, which they have the Disney Junior Jam for the littles, which is really fun. Usually they have Disney Junior characters and things that come out for that one.
It's usually the same characters that you find at the show that's at Hollywood Studios. So like right now it's Timon from The Lion King, Doc McStuffins, Vampirina, and Fancy Nancy. So again, we've talked about this previously on Mom Street. It desperately needs an update. I
was like, my kids really like Doc McStuffins, and my kids are old now.
Yeah, and my kids like. I think my oldest, we watched a lot of Vampirina when he was younger because he liked the music aspect of it. But like, I don't even think my 5-year-old ever watched those.
No.
So we need an update. Disney, give us some new characters, please.
Something new that they have for Halloween this year. Is the I'm gonna say Descendants. Is that how we're saying that? Descendants party at Rocket Tower Plaza, which is of course inspired by the new Descendants movie. That's Return of the Red. So
yes,
that makes sense for those teens and tweens that are interested in such things. It's great that they have an offering for them.
Yeah, and I think that's good timing because like that movie literally just came out like last week.
Just dropped, right? Yep.
Yeah. So if that's your jam. Literally, you can go and check out that dance party.
All right, shall we talk about Christmas shows?
Yes, I would love to talk about the Christmas shows.
Of course.
So one of them that is kind of a 2-for-1, right, is this Frozen Holiday Surprise Castle show. And this is essentially the castle lighting that happens as the lights go down. And the sun goes down in Magic Kingdom. So this actually happens at twice. So it happens at the close of Magic Kingdom for day guests. So this is one of those that kind of bridges the gap. The thing that's nice is if you are in the park early for that 4 p.m. entry time, you can catch this kind of before the rest of the party festivities start. But then it also happens during the party at one point in time. But it's Elsa and Anna and Olaf, and they light up, Elsa lights up the castle with all her icicles, and it's really, really cute. They do the song from the Frozen Christmas special, if you're familiar with that, which is just such a great song. I just
we
love
all
it.
Cry a little bit.
It's very
it's that good
and sentimental and emotional, and just it's all about being together for the holidays. Just it's so good. It's so good. Okay, sorry, I will move on now. Their standard stage show that they have for the Christmas party is Mickey's Most Merriest Show. And that is kind of just like a little variety show that they do again on the castle stage. Tons of fun characters for that one as well. The star of the show, in my opinion, is Clarabelle Cow. Gets to sing a whole song on there, which
she's fabulous.
She is so fabulous.
We don't see enough of her.
No,
she needs to have more of a presence in general.
I love her so much, and her part. I won't spoil it for anyone who might be going and wants to be surprised, but her song is my favorite in that whole show. Mm-hmm. And then they do a dance party as well, which is the Club Tinsel dance party, which the big draw for that one is the reindeer from the parade are in that dance party, which is super fun to get to like dance around on a dance floor with those reindeer because I just think they're just so cute. And they also have a Disney Junior one as well called the Disney Junior Jingle Jam. So again, very, very similar. They both have stage shows that are very, very good, very entertaining, can't miss shows. And they both have 2 dance parties. So again, if we are comparing the Halloween to the Christmas, very, very similar.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Christmas does have that little castle lighting show, but I mean, that show is less than 10 minutes. So it's super short, not long at all. So again, very, very similar offerings between the two.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think that you really can't miss, well, there's more than one thing, but one of the other things I think you can't miss at these parties is the parade. And it's like, even if you're like not really all that into parades, you really got to see these parades because it's a big reason why you're paying what you are for your ticket, because they're fabulous.
So true.
For Halloween, we have the Powerline dance party before the parade, which is amazing. And then my favorite part is the Headless Horseman, which is so funny because most people don't even know where that comes from anymore.
Right.
Ichabod Crane and the story of Sleepy Hollow and whatnot, but it is an actual horse and a headless horseman who runs through the parade route, essentially. So, and of course, then the parade itself is the Boo to You parade, which that song will get stuck in your head forever and ever.
Yes.
Amen.
I'm singing it in my head right now. I will spare you all of getting it stuck in your head.
Already, it's in my head already.
Yes. I will mention that the Powerline Dance Party does happen just on Main Street. So the parade routes for both of the parades that we're going to talk about follow the same parade route that Festival of Fantasy, which is your standard daytime parade at Magic Kingdom, follows. So it starts over by Tiana's Bayou Adventure, comes down and through the hub area and down Main Street. So that Powerline Dance Party does only happen on Main Street. And the Headless Horseman happens the entire length of the parade, but it's a significant amount of time before the parade starts that you will see that happen. So if that is something that you're really interested in seeing, you want to be there early, because otherwise you may or may not get to see him ride by on his horse.
Yeah, and it's worth seeing. It's really cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yes, and I love, so the spot where we stood for the Boo to You parade is actually right in front of the train station, like right down below. So a lot of people like to watch it from up above on the train station because they get kind of that higher vantage point. But we stood like right below on the curb. And we were actually with our friend Lemuel at Magic Bands and Trash Cans. He can vouch for the fact that I was nervous because we were in the line for the Jack and Sally meet and greet. And it was getting really, really close to parade time. And I was like, we can't miss the parade. And I was like all stressed about it. And he was like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And I was like, we have to find a spot. Well, we missed the Headless Horseman. So that tells you, timing wise, we didn't make it early enough. But we caught the Powerline Dance Party and we were able to watch the entire parade. And it was very magical where it happened, because we walked up and it was just like, why is there no one standing here? This is like prime real estate for watching this parade. And it was great. So my kids were, they sung and danced and all the characters interacted with them because we were around a lot of adults that were with us, like, and by us. So my kids were like some of the only kids in that space. So like all of the characters came up to them. It was really fun.
Oh, that's so great. And some of the things that we didn't mention that are in the Boo to You parade, I think one of the highlights is the grave diggers, which basically they have shovels and they will like rhythmically kind of scrape them on the ground and create sparks, which is like the coolest thing ever. I don't know why, but it's really
it's like
cool.
mesmerizing.
And then, of course, the Haunted Mansion. There's a flow for Haunted Mansion elements, and then villains as well are featured throughout. So just really fun, spooky parade, but also with really fun characters, so it's not scary for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much the not so scary, right? Like it's not going to intimidate or anything, even the villains that are in it. There's a whole section kind of towards the end where all of the villains kind of come together. So it's and they play it up and they have a lot of fun interacting with the crowds and everything. So it's really good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Christmas parade. The Christmas parade doesn't have any like before the parade things like Halloween does. So again, if we're comparing, there is no kind of pre-show to the show, so to speak, with that. But it is a fabulous parade. Think of the parade that if you are someone that sits at home on Christmas morning and watches the ABC special of the Disney parade, that's the parade that you're going to get at Very Merry.
Isn't that always all of us?
I would hope. I mean, I would think that, pretty much anybody that's listening to us right now, that's you, right? So if you're familiar with that parade, that is the parade that you get to see. Lots and lots of characters, lots of themed to Christmas. Some of the highlights for that, I talked about the reindeer earlier with the dance party. They're so cute. The toy soldiers are another huge one that everybody loves.
It's a tradition that dates back to the 1960s when they were trying to promote Babes in Toyland.
That makes sense.
That's why they're around.
Yeah, yes. That makes sense. So
this is a stationary one, but
yes, that is one of the just decorative ones. But yeah, so the toy soldiers, and then of course Santa at the end of the parade kind of welcomes the holiday in. So it's a good one for sure. So both of the parades are just outstanding. I mean, they're so much fun. They usually do them twice during the event. You will find that the first parade time is typically more heavily attended than the second parade time. So little things like that to keep in mind. But yes, those are the highlights of the parades.
Yes. And Karen here is saying, we'll say that the Christmas parades differ from Walt Disney World and Disneyland a bit, and that is true. So if you're used to seeing the one at Disneyland, it is a very different version of a Christmas parade. It's more of a story one that's that tells us stories. It goes and have the books that float by. They do kind of have a common element of, I think they both have reindeer and tin soldiers, toy soldiers, right?
That sounds right. Yes.
Yeah,
and I will say, if you're going to Disneyland during Christmas time, those parades are spectacular too. Definitely make sure that Storybook Parade is one of my favorite Christmas parades. I always either watch it on a live stream or find it on YouTube or, watch it every year because it's very nostalgic in the very best way.
Yes. It's got Christmas trees and snowmen and all kinds of cute things. It's wonderful.
Yes.
But let's go back to Walt Disney World.
Yes. Sorry. We coast jumped there. Let's jump back.
So those are parades side by side. Let's do fireworks because I think that's the other element of things you can't miss. So it's stage show, parade, fireworks are like the three major things that you really got to do while you're there.
Yes.
To make the most of your evening, I think.
Yes. All right. I'll take Halloween on this one. You've done Halloween on some of the other ones. So during the Halloween party, there is the Mickey's Not So Spooky Spectacular Fireworks. So very aptly named with the event. The storyline is super cute. It's all about the Fab Five kind of finding this very haunted mansion-esque house and entering in and shenanigans and things like that for Halloween time. But the one thing that is, I think, the best part of this fireworks show is this massive Jack Skellington marionette puppet that they have. It is just incredible. Really cool. So he starts and ends the show on that castle stage. It's just an incredible sight to see him come out on the stage because he's, at least 8 feet tall, I would say, if I had to guess.
Yeah, he's pretty spectacular. And that's worth seeing for sure if you're a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan.
Yes, he was also at Jollywood. Like we said, we're not talking about Jollywood, but he was also at Jollywood at the Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along. So if you saw that previously, same marionette puppet there, but just comes out on the stage for the fireworks instead.
Yeah, and then fireworks for Christmas is Minnie's Wonderful Christmas Time Fireworks Show. It's interesting because I was looking at my pictures from it, and we had this very kind of smoky, overcast night, and so the fireworks were harder to see.
It almost looks a little spooky.
It does, which is funny because this is definitely the Christmas show.
Yeah.
But it's what you would expect: Christmas vibes, Christmas joy in a fireworks show.
Yes, lots of fun. Like they, make the castle look like a big giant present with wrapping paper and things like that. You do get some of the icicle effect, that kind of classic icicle look that we see a lot, that we used to have at Disney World and then we get at Disneyland. They do that with kind of the projection mapping. And I just think some of the imagery that they put for the projections on the castle are so much fun for the Christmas one.
I will say, though, I was there for the filming of the ABC special or whatever this past year, and the projections and lighting they do for that, I feel gypped at the Christmas party now because that's so spectacular. And I get it's a full production. They have budget from, ABC and stuff for it, but I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
Right. Well, just a little bit of a difference there.
Just a little, but it's fine. No, but it is really actually quite a lovely little show, and I really enjoy everything about it. So
Yeah.
It's worth seeing.
Absolutely. And I think both fireworks shows for Halloween and Christmas are both equally spectacular. It really just comes down to theme, right? Especially with this one. And that Jack Skellington marionette puppet, which I think if you're a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan, you want to see that for sure.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about food.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a big difference between the two that I think some people will like one more than the other. Do you want to take Halloween? Because I have more Christmas stuff for I did Christmas this last year.
Yeah, perfect. So basically a couple different elements of this, right? So Disney will always roll out seasonal food. They do that for a ton of holidays, not just the big federal holidays. They do that a lot throughout the year. But for Halloween and Christmas time, they will roll out these menus, but then there will also be specialty items that you can only get at the parties. We've talked about this before on Mom Street. For whatever reason, Disney World seems to like to offer us 90% sweet when it comes to that. And
it's all sugar,
straight sugar, and 10% savory if we're lucky. So those menus are similar year to year, but they also vary. So we haven't seen those menus yet for this year, so we don't know for certain what's coming, but we know from past years it's a lot of sweet. So just keep that in mind if you're a big foodie and you're looking for that. And even then, a lot of the savory options are offered throughout the day as well, and not just party specific offerings for that. But for Halloween specifically, if we're talking about party specific things that we know, that is that they have 6 trick-or-treat locations throughout the park. And this trick-or-treating is included in your ticket price. So when you go in to the park, they will hand you much too small little bags.
Very small bags, yes.
For trick-or-treating. If you are a big candy person or your family is big into that, I suggest you bring some backup like Ziplocs in your bag, because you're going to want to dump, because you will get a ton of candy, 10 pounds worth of candy probably.
I think you could bring an extra suitcase for your candy if you want that much, because that's how much you'll get. I think I had a friend who said they bring a backpack in and then they just dump their candy in their backpack and keep going.
Yeah, it's a lot. So just also plan for that. Again, we've done whole episodes on the parties. If you want more tips and tricks for the parties, we've talked about that, but definitely plan accordingly for that. And do note that allergy-friendly options are available. So if you are someone that is wanting to attend these parties, but you've got some allergy concerns, for Halloween, they will give you these little like tokens, and you can redeem them at either the Liberty Square ticket office or the Chamber of Commerce for that. So they do have allergy-friendly options as well for any of the candy, but really the candy is a lot of standard options. You'll see, we saw a lot of like Starbursts, and then there's lots of like the little mini size candy bars and things like that. So pretty standard offering, nothing extravagant when it comes to the candy offerings at the trick-or-treat locations.
I think I got so much the last time I went that I used it as my candy to hand out.
Yep, so did we. Yep, so did we, because we went before, we went well enough before Halloween, but it was close enough still. At the same time, it was like within a week that we got home. Then it was our trick-or-treat. Yeah, we used some of that candy because it was a lot. And we only filled, because like, we're not huge candy people. I shouldn't say that. My husband is.
Most of you are.
I know. But so we just filled our 4 bags that we got, because you get 1 bag per person. And that was plenty. That was plenty. And I will say also, if you go late, they're more apt to just like take a giant handful and fill your bag in one go. So if you don't want to spend a ton of time trick-or-treating, go later in the night and you may only have to make 2 stops and your bag will be full.
That's usually what I did.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I had other things to do.
Right. I know. There's so many things to do during the party. You have to make the best of your time. So, and again, those locations you'll be able to find, all of that information will become available kind of once we get closer to these actual dates to find where they are. And they're always marked with like big inflatable, like pillars almost. So that way, where to go in, and it moves pretty seamlessly, right? The cast members want you in and out and on your way.
But I think there's longer-ish lines earlier in the evening, and then
Yes.
shorter as like there are hardly any lines at all as
Yes.
the night wears on.
Yeah,
which
don't
makes
wait
sense.
don't wait in line for the
Can't
trick
be.
or treat. If you see a line, just come back later.
Yeah.
Same for Christmas. So let's talk about Christmas. Kate, what can you tell us about the Christmas party snacks?
Christmas, you get cookies, a lot of cookies, and also different drinks, usually hot chocolate, but sometimes there is, I think, eggnog in one and also apple cider in
Yes.
another. And so each location of the 5 cookie locations that are included with your ticket price are different kinds of cookies. They're all prepackaged, so if you don't want to eat them right then, you don't have to. You can put them in your bag or your stroller or whatever. And keep on rolling. I brought some home to my kids, which was great. But
We brought like stacks home from the last party that we went to because again, when you go later, they'll hand you 2 or 3 at a time. And we had them in our pantry for a little while after we got home.
yeah, they're all different kinds too, so it's worth stopping at all the different ones. You
Yes.
can get chocolate chip, and the other one was a sprinkle one, and I had I think it was the ginger snap or something. Yeah, there's like they're all
They had a
different ones.
snickerdoodle. They
It's
had
an
like
eggnog
a
one,
red velvet.
red velvet. Yeah,
They had an iced gingerbread.
the iced gingerbread was my favorite.
Yes, me too. And chocolate chip, and then that like frosted one, like a sugar cookie.
And you can decline like the hot chocolate if you want just the cookie and
Yes.
stuff. Like they don't make you take both of them at each stop, especially because like I got sugared out after like the first 2. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like my kids did not need 5 hot chocolates.
Right.
They needed a half of one.
I did have some really good food. I don't know what the food offerings will be this year, but I think this one was at Friar's Nook was my favorite. It was like a little snowman that had like chocolate mint mousse on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely, that was my favorite thing that I had while I was there. So I'm kind of hoping that they bring that one back because it was pretty delicious.
Yeah.
And they also had, of course, they had like this empanada that was there as well. And I was like, okay, this will be my savory item. And this one actually was fairly sweet. I think it had sweet potatoes in it. I was
Yep.
like, oh, okay.
Well.
So it's fine. It's fine. But some of the food offerings are actually really, really good. And some of them only available during the party. But I did notice that they sell out pretty quickly. So make sure that you do go early. If there's a specific thing that you want to eat, go early to get it because they run out of supplies and they don't have any more after that usually. So
Yes. And something that I didn't write down, but I do want to mention kind of in this category, it's kind of merch, but also food related, is the popcorn buckets. They always have specialty popcorn buckets that are available only at the parties. And that's another thing that you're going to want to make sure you make a plan to get early because they will run out and they won't restock for the night. So if they've got a popcorn bucket that is really, really important to you, 2 years ago was that Light Up Zero one from Nightmare Before Christmas. It was super cute. Last year when we went to Christmas, we got the little Mickey toy soldier one that was a popcorn bucket that was really cute. So they have adorable popcorn buckets, but if that is something that you want, get it early because they will sell out.
yeah. And usually the merch, like the party merch, doesn't necessarily, because there's so many dates for this, so the shirts and stuff tend to stick around unless it's something really spectacular or crazy. So you don't have to worry about those as much.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we always
On
recommend-
occasion they'll sell out of like a shirt or one of the offerings, but they still have a lot of the other merch available, which we didn't really get into because it's very similar. Again, we're comparing Halloween to Christmas, but it's almost identical. They're going to have a spirit jersey. They're going to have some ears. They're going to have probably a bag or a Loungefly of some sort, some t-shirts. It's basically the same as far as what they offer. So looking at I believe there are probably already photos out now in July of both lines that are going to be, little sneak previews of both lines that are going to be coming out. So if exclusive merch is your thing, go take a look at those.
Yeah, and Moogie makes a good point on here. It says, I was so sad they sold out of popcorn buckets weeks before the parties were over. So that's also a thing, if you see that there's exclusive merch and you haven't bought your tickets yet, trying to go on an earlier date might allow you more of a chance to get that than not, because they don't always make it all the way to the end of the season, and they're not going to order more necessarily if it's starting to go near the end of the season because they might not sell them. So
Right. And some of that ebbs and flows night to night, right? Sometimes they have a certain amount for the one night that they have, and that night they might sell out. And then that might have been their entire, week's worth of inventory. And so that rest of the week, they're not going to have more, but then the following week they might get more. And, it's so hard to predict, especially now with shipping and, supply chain issues that still, I think people are dealing with, even now in 2024. But so you never really know, unfortunately. So, but yes, the earlier dates that you go, the better chance you have at getting some of that exclusive merchandise, popcorn buckets, all of the above.
So I also want to point out that our good friend Allie Beth said in here, like, wasn't this the Christmas party that I got mistaken for a cast member in the Emporium? And it's true, because I wore an outfit that looks very similar to their cast member costumes. And then I realized once I went to the Emporium, everybody kept asking me questions. I was like, why do they keep asking me questions? I don't work here. And I realized that I just looked a lot like them. So won't we be wearing that next year? So there's a little tip for you. Don't dress like the people in the Emporium, which kind of brings us on to our next section. Good segue.
That was perfect. Thanks, Allie Beth.
It worked out.
A couple notes to make about just kind of offerings for the parties. And this is kind of where they do differ almost the most, is that for Halloween, costumes are allowed for everybody. So Disney's typical policy is that anyone, I believe it's 13 and up, you're not allowed to wear costumes in their parks. And they have other stipulations that I'm not going to go into, but
I thought it was under 14, but
it might be 14. I might have the year, the number wrong.
Who's counting?
Somewhere in that range. Look it up if you're in that range. But you can do, and people will do full costumes. We kind of went very basic. We did a little superhero thing. So my husband did a Iron Man type without, having to wear an entire Iron Man suit in Florida in the heat. Right. My kids did, Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider, however you know her, in Spider-Man. And I did a Black Widow kind of bound with just like a plain black jumpsuit. Super easy. Didn't take a lot. Those were the costumes my kids were wearing anyway, so that was helpful for us. But some people will go all out with their costumes. So that's kind of part of the fun of the Halloween party, if I'm being honest, because you get to see like, oh, look at their costume. They look so good. Think about like how people do like Run Disney, and then like think about how that could be applied to Halloween, because people will go above and beyond.
Yeah, they do have some policies, though. You can't have any masks that are covering your face. Mm-hmm. You can have no fake weapons, and your costumes can't touch the ground. So nothing that can drag on the ground that you can get hurt. And also you can't have like the full length princess dresses that fully touch the ground, because, and that way it's also a safety thing, especially as adults, so the kids don't mistake you for a Disney princess and then want to take pictures with you and things like that. So
yeah, don't do that. Disney doesn't like it when you do that. So don't do that.
No.
Yes. And then for Christmas, just a special note that there is a little ornament that is included in your ticket price that you will get upon entry. This last year, it was a little, like one of the little soldiers. Yeah, there it is. So that is a little perk that you get. So every member of your group that goes to the party will get one of those. So we ended up with 4 ornaments.
That's a lot. Yes.
It was a lot. Yep. And my kids insisted. Nope. My kids insisted. They were like, this is mine. I am going to hang this on the tree. And I was like, you go, kiddo. You hang it on the tree. We will have 4 Mickey's Very Merry ornaments on our tree.
I love it. Well, that also could add to the cost if you think about it. That's another thing we didn't think of it.
That's true.
Because that's a gift that you don't get with Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
You already get food at both, but you don't get a gift. So
very true.
But I don't know if that's worth the extra like $70.
Yeah, I don't know that it would be either. I don't know. Maybe the extra cookie cost plus the ornament cost.
Yes, maybe. And one ride?
One ride.
But they're trying to offset Jingle Cruise hats.
The hats. Just the hats. That's where they went over budget, was the Jingle Cruise skipper hats. Well, but then like the Halloween parade, you get more. So yeah, I don't know. It's so hard, right? And I will also mention, oh yeah, there's some of the entryway stuff. Super cute theming, right? So when you walk in, you go like behind Main Street to enter in, and that's where they give you like your little ornament or your little trick or treat bag. Well, so you get the bag. You get the bag.
You do get the bag. Yeah. Mine was disposable though when I went. Was it disposable when you went? I went a while ago.
It was like a really thin, reusable, plasticky kind of bag, if that makes sense. Yeah. Who knows, right? And both parties do also have specialty maps. I will mention that you get when you enter, and you'll have like a little bracelet that they'll give you that denotes that you are attending the party. That way, people know that you can. That you're allowed to stay, right? And that you're allowed to be in the park after the park is officially closed. But the maps are very, very well done. And they're a fun little keepsake to have. So that's another thing that you get at both parties. So again, it's really hard. It's really hard to compare.
How do you pick between the two?
So Kate, what are your overall...
Oh, look what I found in my drawer. Clearly not on my Christmas tree.
The ornaments, they're everywhere.
In my drawer. And I did find, I think this is the map too. This is my drawer in my desk here is where I put all of my like Disney stuff. Ta-da!
Yeah.
It shows you all the locations of all the things.
And cute and themed, and it's got like, it looks all snowy. Oh, we didn't talk about Snope. That's another benefit.
That's a plus for Christmas.
Of Christmas time is you get the fake snow on Main Street. So that's another thing too. But all right, Kate, what are your overall thoughts? And they can be opinions or factual. I'll leave that up to you. What are your overall thoughts when you think about comparing Halloween and Christmas at Magic Kingdom?
I really think it's going to come down to two things for me if I was choosing for my family. I think it's going to come down to price. What is my budget? And it's going to come down to which holiday do I love more? Mm-hmm. And that's a really tough one for me because Christmas is usually my bent, but I also really love spooky time. So I'm kind of like, I'm half and half. I could go to either. But the cost for my family of 5 would probably lean me more towards like an early spooky season.
Right.
Early Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party than a Christmas. And also because it's so hard to travel close to the holidays as well. So for me, I probably would go spooky season just for that reason. And also because I go to Disneyland and I just get all their Christmas stuff without having to pay an extra ticketed price.
That's just not fair.
So sorry. But you said my opinion. So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So how about you, Jackie?
So I agree on the cost, especially, right? That, like I said, when I was doing all of that, the research and kind of comparing side by side, I had never compared the cost difference between the two before. So I think that's huge. I mean, there can be a significant difference for a family. You know, I'm a family of 4. So like you talked about, that price point is a lot cheaper in comparison, if you're thinking Halloween. I also do like that Halloween has more flexibility with dates, right? It goes on for longer. There are more dates that it covers. It starts earlier, which some people like, some people don't like. But if you're looking at the party, it's really nice to be able to go to that party in August, get the benefit of that cheaper ticket and the benefit of not having to go when it's really close to the holiday. Because even traveling to Disney the week of Halloween, it's nothing like Christmas, don't get me wrong, but it is significantly busier than the rest of that season. But I do also agree that there's a nostalgia factor, right? And like, where does your heart want you to go? Like, which one? It's funny because, like I said, the last 2 years I've done both of these. We did Halloween and then we did Christmas. And the reason we did Halloween first, one was because my kids have a fall break in October. And that made it easy to be able to take a week in October to go down and do the party, and kind of logistically make it work for our particular family. So that was part of it. The other part was my kids truly just love Halloween.
And you can't discount that, you know? That's
yeah.
important.
And it was one of those things where I looked at my husband and I was like, we need to take them for Halloween, right? Like I can wait and wait to do Christmas, because Christmas is really truly, like, my kids love Christmas, obviously, like what kid doesn't love Christmas, but like Christmas is really my thing in our family, whereas both of my kids and my husband all really love spooky season. So I was like, I will defer. Let's do.
You should just come to Jollywood with me this year,
know.
Jackie.
Listen,
come on.
Okay. We'll talk about that later. My husband might be listening. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding. So that was a big factor, right? And then I was fortunate enough that the next year we were able to make it work out, that we were able to do the Christmas parties. And I think for me personally, that going to the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom like cemented Christmas forever for me. Like it will never get better than that for me. Like,
oh, just wait till you go to Disneyland, my friend.
I know. I don't know though. I don't know. Okay, but like being, standing with my kids, watching the parade, watching them watch the parade and the big tree, because we watched at the very end of the parade route for Christmas time. So, and again, we found a spot where they could be right up on the curb. So everyone was coming and interacting with them. It was just such a great experience, and watching it through their eyes, right? Because they're just so little still, that it's just like, oh, it just melted my mama heart. And I just love Christmas time so much, and the snow. And so it's really hard, but that was ultimately our decision, was timing and the price point and what was best for my kids first. And then I got to be selfish second and do Christmas afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it's good. I'm glad you got to do what you love to do too, because that's also important.
Yes. It is. And I will mention before we kind of wrap up the podcast part of this episode that there are so many other events to do during these time periods at the parks that could also help you make your decision. We're not going into those in this episode. We have done those on previous episodes. So take a look back through our entire library of our previous episodes if you're looking for what else to do around the holiday times at the parks or at the resorts or whatever. So some of that may also affect your decision. There are lots of things that go on during Christmas time at the resorts and at Disney Springs and things like that. So some of that may also sway you one way or the other. If you're not completely sold on which party you want to do, I would suggest maybe looking at some of that, and also considering, like Kate mentioned, the travel. When would you be able to feasibly go if you're going with your kids? When works in your schedule? What is the travel going to be like? Are you going to be trying to fly in the week of Christmas? Are you going to be, all of those things are huge factors as well.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this particular topic for this part of this podcast, but we're not done yet, because we always do what we always do at the end of our podcast, which is our Ask the Mom segment. So this is where we usually get a question from our Mom Street community about something that's Disney Parks planning. And we have a very specific one for Walt Disney World this evening. So I'm going to ask you, Jackie.
Okay.
So it says, I am working on my budget for our family's Disney World trip. What are some expenses most people forget about budgeting for?
That's a really, really good question, right? Because everybody remembers the tickets and the resort and all that kind of stuff. For me, a couple things. First of all, I think budgeting for what items are you going to need to purchase for your vacation before you even leave for your vacation.
Yes.
Thinking about things like Kate and I just talked about this because I was telling her how I ordered some stuff for Amazon Prime Day, but thinking about cooling towels and fans and stroller covers if it rains and portable charger batteries, and
it can add up.
Clothes and shoes and bags and new luggage if you need, all of those types of things. That I think is a really big one that people don't think about, especially if this is like your first or second trip and you're not, once you've gone a couple times, you pretty much have everything that you need.
Unless
but I think
it was broken or
right.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think that is a really big one that not a lot of people will consider when it comes to their kind of overall travel budget for the Disney parks. The other one that I think of is a lot of people, I think, underestimate their food cost, unfortunately, at Disney.
Yeah.
We are fans of getting groceries for our room, taking some food in to help save on that. But for a family of 4, even if we're eating at a quick service restaurant, a light lunch, minimum of $50.
Yeah, at least.
Yes.
If you have older kids and they eat more, it's even more.
Yes. Right, exactly. So I think a lot of people underestimate that, unfortunately, because food is just a massive expense when it comes to Disney World. So those would be my 2 kind of areas that I would say I feel like people maybe, not necessarily that they forget about. The first one, maybe they do forget about. The food, maybe I think they just underestimate how much they should plan on spending.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think the other thing for me that I don't always think about is just how many souvenirs we're going to get and how much they cost.
Yeah, that's
because you get there and you're like, oh, I want this, or like your kids want this. So, so we always try to do 1 souvenir per kid. You know, like one big souvenir, 1 small thing per kid is what they get, and they have to. They're like, of course they want to run to like the first thing they see. And they're like, this is what I want, and I was like, let's wait a couple days. You can think about it and see some more things. You know, because this is all you get for this, because that's all we can afford. You know. So, and then also setting a monetary limit for that, which is really tough because some of these things are really spendy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah, we have that problem too, but we have started, even with my kids as young as they are, we'll do like gift cards for them. And that way here's your gift card, you have this much to spend, and we, help them through the math and those types of things. But they're also getting to the age where they like have piggy banks and can spend their own money. So we're getting more used to this idea of, oh, I have this much money that I can spend. Oh, this costs $15, those types of things. But that I agree with. And I think in our case, the adults are way worse about that.
Yes.
Where like my husband and I will find something and we're like, oh, look at this. Oh, but I really shouldn't. But then like we just like, we enable each other, right? It's like, oh, just get it. We're here.
We'll be back here.
Right.
It's not going to be here the next time.
Right. You never know. And you really like it. And you don't always find things that you like, especially with my husband.
Yeah.
Especially with my husband when it comes to like t-shirts and clothing, because he's very particular about his Disney stuff that he likes. So like if he finds something, I'm always gonna be like, yep, just get it. And he's like, but we shouldn't. And I'm like, but just do it.
Yeah, we're really bad enablers. I think we're more guilty than kids sometimes.
Yes.
Karen also says if you get snacks like churros and pretzels, it adds up quick. And it does. And something we do for our family is we kind of split some of our snacks when we can. Like some of them are not easy to split. But like, some pretzels and things and churros, like we'll do one for, we'll cut it in half for the kids and they can each have half of a churro and they'll be fine, like.
Right. If you just need a little bit of something to tide you over until your dining reservation or your time to eat or whatever, I think that's fine. But yeah, that's true. Because it does, a Mickey pretzel is not just, $1 or $2.
I wish it was.
Yeah. Popcorn buckets are good in that, though, because if you do refills, it's a lot cheaper and it goes a long way.
All right. Well, that's a great answer, Jackie. Thank you so much for that. Those are definitely things that I would I always forget that there's pre-trip expenses, always. And I'm like, now I've spent a couple $100s before I spend all my hundreds of dollars.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that was so fresh in my mind because, like I said, I literally just ordered stuff off of Amazon for the next trip that we will take. So I was like, that was what I was thinking of. Like, oh, I spent a good amount of money on that stuff. It's all very important, but yeah, it's still money you have to spend to be able to have everything you need to have a fun trip.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think that probably wraps up this episode.
Yes.
Unless there's anything else.
I don't think so, but let's talk briefly about what's coming up because we've got a lot of really good topics coming up.
Yeah.
We took a break for a little while with the holidays and travel plans and things, but we're literally hitting the ground running now for the next couple episodes. So next podcast episode, we did this on a Q&A earlier when they first announced all the changes, but next episode, we are diving into the new lightning lane system at
Buckle up.
Disney World. Whew, so that is going to be fun and an experience. And I am hoping to have some firsthand experience to bring to that. Our good friend Kirk at Walrus Carp has agreed to kind of let me piggyback on a day of new lightning lane system trial and error, so to speak, next week. So I'm going to hopefully be bringing some new perspective and some experience to that, and we will give you the rundown. We did this for what is going to be the former system, Genie Plus, and a lot of people found it very helpful. So I'm going to rest my vocal cords the day of so that I can give you all of the lovely information that I can. And Kate will be my Vanna White and show all the visuals that we will hopefully have for you guys. Yes. So that is the next topic that we are going to cover. And then after that, we are going to talk about planning for Disneyland as a worlder. So that will be all Miss Kate. So it works out nicely that we can kind of, I'll take one and you take one. So it's good. But lots of really good info to come. So if you have not found us on all of our socials and all of the places that Mom Street USA exists, do that so you don't miss any of this really good information that's going to be coming out very soon.
Yes. And as always, Jackie and I, mostly Jackie, is around to help you if you have extra questions on your vacation. She's also a travel consultant who can help you with a lot of things, especially if you're getting scared about some of the changes with lightning lanes and whatnot. She's going to be a great resource for that. So you can always email her at momstreetusa@gmail.com to reach out to Jackie for that. And we just really appreciate you, Jackie, staying on top of all of that for us. Thank you.
I do my best.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode of Mom Street USA. We hope that it helped you maybe make a decision between Halloween or Christmas in Walt Disney World if you're on the fence about which one you should do. As always, you can always reach out to us at momstreetusa@gmail.com or on any of our social media accounts at Mom Street USA. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or need any help deciding anything about your Disney trip coming up. Jackie, do you have any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
It was so fun to compare side by side and look at what all of the parties have to offer. And, I felt like I knew they were fairly similar, but after looking, it's wow, they really are. It's a really tough decision. Yeah. So go with your gut, go with what you think is going to be best for your family or your travel party. Either way, you're going to have a great time.
Yes, I agree 100%. Thank you, everybody, for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Mom Street USA.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.